deep in the place where they make the electricity for the cities.
The electricity factory today?
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dicer, and this week I'm joined by fellow Bafflegabbers Jonathan Watkins.
Hello.
Ian Whittington.
Hello.
And Deneé Hughes.
Still here.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. But we do not slap each other. That is not something we allow here.
I have no idea what you're referencing.
I'm not referring to anything. I was just,
okay.
I actually only bring it up because we had an entire slapping conversation last week during
We did.
the outtakes before anything with a certain slap that may have happened happened.
But launched after said slap.
But launched after, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, I promise, guys. I promise. The slapping was just in our mind. We're slap happy people. So
What was that
Slap
reference?
happy.
It was nothing. And I almost said butt sniffing. And I was like, but that's a reference.
Yes.
But we will sniff each other's butts.
Yes.
Yeah.
that's yes. And go ahead and mark that off your bingo card. We have we don't have a slot on the bingo card for a reference for something coming later in the show.
Oh, no.
This is the very first time we have referenced something that we pre-recorded for the show.
That's right. We recorded it out of order
I like
today.
how we pre-recorded that, but didn't actually come to that decision until like halfway through it that we were pre-recording a segment. So
Please remember to do an intro for it.
Ian
yeah,
is
there's going
going
to be no intro for it.
Ian's editing is going to make it just sound like it was always the plan, and it always was. We're just
really
kidding.
happy about all this. I know I would be.
Deneé has already proven she can see into the future. That's all this was.
Yeah, we haven't recorded it yet.
Nope, we have
But now
not.
we have to,
But
else
now
we'll
we
break
have
the
to.
time loop.
Yes, exactly. Let's get into the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the process of sending them, how we felt about the stuff we are sending in general. We'll kick it off in Commercial Sins World with the Lay's commercial, Golden Moments, where Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd wax poetic about the halcyon days of their youth together, apparently. This was a Jeremy Scott script, I believe. Deneé, kick us off. What are some of your thoughts on potato chips?
In general,
Or this commercial?
I feel like we all need to stop being upset with a massive puff of air. It is what protects the chip, okay? We need that much packed in there. It does feel like when you open a chip bag that it's just a whole chunk of disappointment, a whole section of sadness because you realize that you've got this big bag and then the chips are all at the bottom. But without that cushion of air, we would have nothing but crumbles. And we need to appreciate the packaging. And that is my first thought about chips in general.
I'm glad you brought that up because there's actually a sin about not being able to open chip bags well, and they should invent a better way to open. I think they've kind of done that. Like, chip bags open fine now, don't they? Like,
I've never
they open
personally
easier.
had a problem.
yeah. Anyways, I just thought I'd mention that. Oh, continue,
Anyway,
Deneé. Continue.
I always appreciate that. Some chips don't have it. Like tortilla chips, they don't need that much because tortilla chips are stout chips. But those little tiny wafer thin Lays, they need that puff of air. And that is why I am the president of chip bags.
Famously.
Famously.
Yes.
I really enjoyed this commercial. I think it's fun to send celebrity commercials, and this was a fun one because of the pairing of the two. And I enjoyed how Jeremy kind of like deconstructed. They gave like a time, like remember back in 19 whenever. It's like, oh yeah, don't do that because then the research can come in. So there was just a lot of fun angles that Jeremy took on this one. One of my favorites was the sin like, hey, like, do you remember that stalker that kidnapped us? And that's the third memory that they bring up after the road trip and the heart to heart. They get to the kidnapping part of their relationship. But this sin, or this commercial rather, in general, was really fun for me to watch. Just the idea that like two celebrities have all of these ridiculous memories and Lay's was somehow a part of it. It's a clever commercial. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I think it's funny. The main thing I wanted to bring out that the Sins video does is talk about the age gap between Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd.
Yes.
And certainly everybody's made the Paul Rudd doesn't age joke, you know.
But seriously.
But seriously, how is he that much older than Seth Rogen, who looks older than Paul Rudd in this commercial and possibly in real life? He is an eternal 20-something, Paul Rudd. So that's fun. I enjoyed that. I also really think that potato chips are awesome. Okay, who's next? Ian, you're up.
So we don't call them Lays in England. They're called Walkers. Now, the only reason that they're, and I assumed it was a different company, but they have the same branding, the same logo, the same everything.
Okay.
So it is the same company.
Okay.
It's just called Walker's Crisps.
Walkers.
Yeah.
But why?
I don't know, but Google it. If you Google Walker's Crisps, looks exactly, it's the same branding, everything. It's just not called Lay's, which is interesting. I thought it was odd. And we have like ready salted, prawn cocktail, cheese and onion, salt and vinegar. They're the big beef and onion. They're the big flavors that we have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm making it up, but
that's wild.
Somebody will back me up.
Somebody, anybody.
But in terms of the Sins video, actually, no, in terms of commercials in general, I really like this commercial. It's funny. I do like the banter between them, but I'm always curious about celebrity endorsements and why. Even if it's a celebrity that's in that field advertising something they have experience with, I know that they are paid to tell me the things that I am hearing. Now, I know they have to be factually true or else you get sued for false advertising, but why does that person that I recognise convince me to buy the thing? And I know it works.
Right. You're asking why the psychology works?
Yeah.
Because
I trust them because they're famous?
Mm-hmm. Because we have this thing where we put more value in, there must be a reason they're famous. There must be a reason they're more popular. There must be a reason they're more rich. Those things mean that they know something we don't.
I guess that's it. It's still baffing to me. I just don't get it. But
Did you just say baffing to you?
It's not even like how many episodes before we're going to get to the baffing story.
But my favourite sin, even though I agree that the potato chip companies have made bags that are perfectly fine, I did love it's lie wrapped in a riddle, dipped in impossible sauce, and drilled with fuck you glaze. Why don't you just make bags that we can actually open this cleanly, you dicks?
Nice. Jonathan, before we go on to you, I just want to mention that Frito-Lay bought Walkers, which was a separate company, in 1989. And because Walkers had 41 years of brand name recognition, they did not change the name. They kept the name the same. So
but why is the logo the same then?
They probably changed the logo more to match like the Frito-Lay logo, I'm guessing.
No, that makes sense. Yes.
So anyhow, so there's the mystery solved.
I've heard crisps.
Wasn't making it up.
I've heard of crisps, like I've heard that referred, chips, but I never heard of Walker, except for Walker Texas Ranger, and I assume those two things don't match. So
no, and we don't call them Walkers either. Nobody in the world calls them Walkers. Just call them crisps.
Oh,
but they are the
generic.
Aren't all
crisps.
chips crisps?
Yeah, but it's like Kleenexes, right? Like it's a brand.
Yeah, it's a brand.
Such a brand recognition.
But we wouldn't even call it the brand name. Wouldn't call it Walkers.
Right. Okay.
So what do you call
that's kind of
Doritos?
Yeah.
Just call it crisps.
You call Doritos
we would call them
crisps?
Doritos. No, we call them Doritos because they're
That's more
different.
like how the South calls everything Coke. That's more like
Yeah.
No, it's not that.
It's the opposite of that.
It's the opposite of that.
Because we'd be calling all crisps Walkers.
Jonathan,
It's
how do you
actually
feel about
terrible.
this commercial?
It's terrible for Walkers. They're getting no brand recognition.
I didn't think the commercial. I mean, the video's hilarious. The commercial was just kind of, it was dumb. What you guys have said have pretty much, said what I was thinking. I did like the point that the Shania Twain song would cost more than writing a good script.
More than likely.
Yeah.
And why not buy a house with red texture glass windows is all I'm asking. I mean, why not? I don't know why that would be a problem. But
because it's creepy.
A little bit. But,
It's like a red slushy smashed on a windshield.
It does look like a slushie.
It does. Indeed, it does. Let's go on to TV Sins. Invincible, the latest episode. That actually hurt. Daniel and I are writing on this one. Cardoso Dicer script. So I guess that means I will start. Invincible was one of those shows that took a while for me to get into, and it was primarily my own just kind of being tired of, hey, it's animation, but we're being real adult, which happened so much there for a period of time. And it took me until about this episode, maybe episode or two before this, but to kind of go, but you know what? They're actually kind of telling a really interesting story here. There's some really interesting character work going on with what who these people are, what they do, all that kind of stuff. So this is about where I started to more fall in love with the show. The thing on this show that we said a couple times in this is, how do people continuously not act like they know what they know? People on this show, specifically the human beings, and even the superpowered people at some point, are just like, hey, this guy has, deflected all these bullets, but I'm going to keep shooting bullets at him, even though he's made of concrete.
Or stab him with a knife.
Or you know what I'm going to try? Bullets didn't work, but I'm going to try a knife. Let's try that, a knife on concrete. I don't know. It's just the idiocy of us humans, which I suppose is probably fairly accurate. And then I also wanted to talk about Adam Eve's powers a little bit with you guys, because it's kind of revealed in this episode that she can change things on a molecular level.
Yes.
Like she can create doors out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, how is she not the most, OP hero in the entire unit? Like, all she has to do is dismantle people by their atoms.
Yeah,
right.
And even if it can't work on people for plot reasons, just encase Omni-Man in diamond, or just create diamonds and become rich, because diamonds are just molecules tightly packed.
You could do anything.
It is OP.
Yeah,
it is so ridiculous how little she uses her power. Well, unless that isn't her powers and she's oversimplifying it just as an explanation, maybe if.
Having seen the most recent, she's got some really interesting powers. That's for sure. Yeah, she can create shit.
Yeah. I do love her name though. Adam Eve is a great superhero.
Well, and her dad's name is Adam.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Is it? That's great. That's wonderful. All right.
Her
What
dad's
about
a
you guys?
dick.
Yeah.
Ian, why don't you go next?
I love this show. I really, really do. I'm going to definitely do a rewatch before season 2 comes out. The directions it takes and the twists it goes are great. The thing that reminded me after watching the Sins video that I didn't like was all of the love stuff. I'm so tired of it. There are some really forced relationships and forced romances which turn this nearly into a CW kind of drama show, and I'm like, I really don't need that. Give me more of the teeth being ripped out of people's heads. And I know you need a balance. I know you need to offset all of that, but some of the forced romances.
That was the most bro thing you've ever said. That was hilarious.
Give me more teeth being ripped out of people's heads.
I don't want that love shit. Give me the fighting and the teeth and the sports.
Take me to dental school, baby.
Let's do it. I want to watch The Dentist on repeat. It's ridiculously dumb that Omni-Man kept his suit. Is that ever for a reason? I don't think it is. Other than to be found out.
No, that is a huge plot.
Launch that shit into the sun. There is, it could be arrogance, and he keeps it as a memento, but it doesn't really jive with his.
No, that's not his character
at all. No, not at all. But I absolutely love the fight at the end of this episode, and I think it is the best choreographed, the best put together fight of the entire season, even compared to the last episode. It is so great. There's such a great combination of people's powers and how the different bad guys and good guys match up. And I was just like, oh my goodness, Invincible is getting the snot kicked out of him. It is brutal. I really liked it. In terms of the sins, I had to pull out Consciously Courteous Concrete Criminal as a casual coffee cup conservationist because I like alliteration. I'm a nerd. Putting mashed potatoes right on top of your already separated food. Who does that?
Who? What is this?
Why? You don't
Keep your
I don't know
food
why your
separate.
food's separated,
Oh,
man.
man.
Just make that
I
shit
always
into
do
a
that.
casserole.
Oof, my dad does the big pile of. He just
what I do on
he'll make one
Thanksgiving.
big soup of his plate becomes.
Oh, yeah.
That you don't get the
He just is like, well, it's all going into my belly. It's all going to one place, and I'm like, but I like to.
Yep.
Yeah, but it hits your tongue first.
Your dad is smart. That's what we're figuring out here. Your dad is a smart man.
I also picked out the
Irony or
mashed
not.
potato thing because I like to keep mine separate too because I like every bite to be carefully selected by me. So
Yeah.
Rub that jelly all over the peanut butter. No, it's all good, man. Just mix it up. Mix
Very
it up. Put it in a blender. Drink it. Drink it.
Shut up. I love the expert. I love
Drink
the
it.
expert Kirsten Dunst. I love the expert button mashing at the end. That was incredible. That was really funny.
Yeah, that was fun.
This one had a lot of fun,
fun.
characteristics in it that were, like it had a lot of personality. This particular one that, it really elevated it for me because there was like unexpected sins that were there, and the computer crash one was a delight. What a callback. What a moment. What a reminder of the bullshittery that we used to have to deal with. Like my computer has not crashed like that in so long.
Oh no, you said it.
While my internet is currently tanking, I'm like, please, computer. But yeah, this was a really fun one. In general, I don't know that I am enjoying Invincible. I don't really care that much about what I'm watching. I'm just watching it because it's my job. So I'm not really getting anything from it too much that I think like I'm missing in my entertainment. But it is interesting to try to sin. So I don't know. I thought that you guys made it a lot of fun.
Jonathan, what about you?
If this is the first time you're listening to us talk about Invincible, I will say again, this is one of my all-time favorite comics. I've read this entire series more than once. I love this show now. This is the episode that really got me going on this show. I was like, they know what they're doing. This is going places. I would even argue, even though we're only 2 years into couple years into the decade, I would argue this is one of the strongest episodes of television that we've had in the last couple years. I just love it. Love it, love it, love it. The video is great. You guys hit all the right things. I apparently, God, talk about going dark. Apparently the narrator has a dad that abandoned him. Jesus.
Poor narrator.
I was like, good God, man.
Just so we're clear, not me. My dad stuck around and is amazing.
Narrator.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's just like, the CinemaSins narrator at various times in his life has had 3 kids, sometimes none. It's, there's no reasoning to this. Forcing elephants back into captivity was very funny. And I liked the narrator just giving sins because he did not have 2 cheesecakes, I understand.
It's valid. I think it's valid.
It's very valid. But no, great episode, great video. This show rocks.
The episode of Mandalorian is next called, appropriately enough, The Sin.
It's like they wanted us. They were like...
I loved that sin, by the way.
This was...
It made me kind of stop for a second
it's great.
when I was looking at the script. I was like, oh, ding.
Yeah.
Bing.
Yeah, this is a Cardoso Hughes script, so Daniel and Deneé writing on this one. With that one, I was almost like, this is one of those opportunities where if we weren't going to, if we were going to be super creative, we could have just been like, because it's The Sin and not The Sins, we could have just sinned the title and made one sin, like the episode has one sin and then just roll credits. But no, I liked that as well. Ian, why don't you? No, Deneé, you wrote on this, so why don't you kick us off?
It's interesting to go back into Mandalorian for me because part of me thought that I didn't have to do that anymore. I don't know what I was thinking. It's just something we're gonna have to.
Nope.
Well, we did. There was some confusion. People were like, "Wait, they didn't sin every episode of
No.
Mandalorian?"
Insta-sinned it, yeah.
And it's because season 2 was the first Insta-sin.
To be fair, I thought we had sent them all.
So it was a little strange for me. It's like, okay, we're back over here, and then we were so I have knowledge of what's going to be happening, but then had to revert to what was I thinking when I watched this the first time. We didn't know his name yet. We didn't like. I'm trying to put myself back into that mindset of the newness of the show, with the assumption that we're going to be trying to do a season recap video for this. That you want it to still have that kind of consistency. So figuring out a way to remember, like, this is the child, this is Baby Yoda, this is the little green guy, this isn't Grogu. This isn't Grogu who has met Luke Skywalker. This is like way early. So that was a trip. I kind of had to like meditate for a few minutes and clear my mind.
I'm glad you did because
it's strange.
I haven't.
It's a really strange experience. And it's not that it's bad. It's kind of an interesting way to stretch, but you have to, like, as a writing on this script means you have to be aware of the timeline a little differently. And it's something that as writers for the channel, we're going to come across more as time goes on, where we have seen something up to the present, but we're going back in time. And of course we always like hit this, I don't know if they're road bumps necessarily, but it's just part of what we do of what does the narrator know? What does the narrator not know? And we have to play around with that concept. And the idea is at the end of the day, if it's fun and it makes us laugh and it's entertaining, even if we sort of break our quote unquote rules for TV sins, which in general is that we try to have the narrator be as neutral as possible, like watching something without a ton of knowledge. It's tricky because sometimes we have knowledge, like Jonathan, he knows all about the Invincibles, and that gives us really good perspective on sins at certain times. For example, like with Boba Fett and sinning the Wookiee that was in the district, like that comes from knowledge of that show, and it's an absolute sin of the show. So sometimes we'll have to dip down into knowledge a little bit, but for the most part, we try to keep it general. That way it's easier to sort of pull on the more obvious sins. Anyway, this adds a whole different complexity because we've already sinned so much of this content. So it was a real freaking trip to go back through here. And I was thrilled to write with Daniel. His sins slayed me in this one. There were so many of them that just made me laugh, like his Coachella joke that I really enjoyed. Him doing the stop copying me joke. There's just like all these ones that just really cracked me up. But we also got to sin things that for me are an absolute sin of the show. One of them being like, we really never understand what the way means. And in this particular episode, something happened that I did not remember, which was, so in this episode is when Mando gets his armor and he goes with all the Beskar and the armor is like creating it. And other Mandalorians show up and like get jealous of, I guess, of Mando's armor, our Mando. God, it's so confusing, right? And the big guy goes to rip off our Mando's helmet, which has got to be one of the most insulting things to do in their culture. And nobody seems to care. It seems to be like it's sort of a survival of the fittest. If you don't survive this fight, you don't deserve to be here anyway. But I'm really curious about that. And it reminded me that I sort of wish that the show would have spent a little bit of time almost giving us some more Mandalorian history, because having watched the rest of this content, I'm still not really sure about what the way means. So I'm glad we kind of had a chance to kick on that. Another huge sin in this one for me is all of those tracking fobs lighting up. I was really pissed about this. Daniel wrote a sin about it. I wrote a whole series of things about it. The idea that there's an entire group of people, of bounty hunters, that has a fob that is, either they're still activated towards the child who has already completed the mission. So it's like bounty complete. So these fobs light up as if the bounty is not complete, which it was. So it's like, well, why are they all still holding them? Number one. Number two, why are they all active when the child's in movement? That would be so dumb. Like, who would keep their fob active? Or it's a new one that has been sent out. And if that's the case, it just happened. So who restarted the bounty? How quickly can that actually happen? So that whole thing looks really, really cool, but it pissed me off greatly. I spent way too much writing a sin on it. And then I read Daniel's. I was like, well, his is better. So I'll just.
Such a fun experience of our job.
It's a delight to sin it. But yeah, the whole fob thing was really, really frustrating to me. So, but overall, what a fun episode. You get to see all the Mandalorians attack, which looks so badass. And I think we did a good job of trying to kind of point out the sins of how could they be hiding in this small area. Like there's so many of them, really easy to find, it would seem. So yeah, it was fun to go back, and it was easier to sin than I thought.
Jonathan, what are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. It's weird going back and watching all this stuff that we now have future knowledge on. So we're just like, wait, why is he? Oh, never mind. He doesn't know how to do that yet. So I agree. It has been tough. But it's also been fun because this is a really good show, and it was really good from the start. So, as far as the sins, which I loved the exposing your tuning fork. I thought that was really funny. And then I like the one where it's just like, I mean, why not get in and hide with your kid? Like where they just leave the kid.
Yeah.
And then they run away. And then just trying to figure out what the point of the arch was. I have no idea what the point of that arch is, and it bugged me. So I'm glad we brought it up.
Ian, what about you?
It's fun to dip back into these episodes. And it's interesting to see Mando without his armor. I'd almost forgotten that the Mando we know now isn't the Mando we knew then. And the thing that the video pulled out was that it is really flashy. Like, it's normal to see him in it now, but it is really jarring to see the jump. And I remember thinking, I'm not comfortable with this. This looks a bit weird. Especially since, like, the closest bounty hunter we knew was Boba Fett, and he looked really banged and dinged up as well. And the flashiness doesn't really match with his personality. I think we're used to it now, but it is really, really jarring. But yeah, it's interesting to see how different he is with Baby Yoda as well, and he's much more dismissive and very motivated by getting the Beskar and getting his armor back. And this is probably the most important episode of the series because it shifts him into this father-like protective role, which motivates everything he does from here onwards. In terms of the sins, why are the stormshooters shooting at Baby Yoda? Do they know their aim is terrible, which means they can shoot with confidence knowing that they're gonna miss? Such a great... We've seen stormtroopers so many times, but that was such a unique way to come at it that they can actually use their poor aim to their advantage. That's brilliant.
Yeah. I too really enjoyed The Mandalorian. I think one of the reasons we're all talking about how weird it feels is also because we just finished sinning Boba Fett. Right.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's like, which became The Mandalorian, as we've talked about before. And so we're just coming from this stuff because, we've seen stuff that we know, future information from plenty. We send Lost, we send, a bunch of shows that we've already seen them complete. But here it's like, oh, wait, I'm not in a new season. I'm in an old season now. It makes it a little bit strange. The only one you guys didn't mention that, two that you guys didn't mention that I wanted to mention was telling someone the reason why they shouldn't be helping you while they are helping you.
Yeah.
Very, very funny. I loved that. And then when he says that their jetpacks look cool, and the sin is just, why? You wouldn't use it properly.
That's
so good.
It's way to do a nod to the future.
Yeah, that was because of the future knowledge. That's the only... you don't want to play too much with it, but that's one that I felt confident playing with, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's move into CinemaSins. Ghostbusters Afterlife, the new Ghostbusters movie. This was an Atkinson-Watkins script. Chris and Jonathan writing on this one. How was this experience, Jonathan?
It was interesting. This movie is really frustrating because I saw it twice in the theater. Not because I loved it, but just because I went and saw it by myself the first time because my wife and daughter assured me they didn't want to go see it. And then 2 days later decided they did want to go see it. So then I saw it a second time. But I was kind of glad I did because the second time, I think, helped me kind of realize what worked and didn't work. But then, so now I've watched it for like a third and fourth time. And there's so much in this movie that works. Like, the family dynamic's really fun, especially Carrie Coon and McKenna Grace. But even Finn Wolfhard's kind of grown on me, even though I don't know that I'm the biggest fan of his. But I do think he's fine in this. But just when all the callbacks get really annoying really quickly. And there was even stuff I wasn't even thinking about. Like Chris was writing those sins. Chris kind of did that run of but I hope Ghostbusters fans are happy. Because like even stuff like the PKE meter and the ghost trap, like those aren't like organically worked into the story. They're just shown, right? It's just random stuff. And like the chair, him getting attacked on the chair the same way, Sigourney Weaver did. And then towards the end, it just, even though I think a lot of this is good, Paul Rudd's fun too, by the way, but even though a lot of this is good, I think that the last 20 minutes aren't very good. So that also, it kind of leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth, even though you've enjoyed it up until that point. So it's like, it's always going to be like a slight recommend for me. I'm not opposed to seeing what they do with this moving forward, since I feel like this was their Force Awakens, where we have to go back and kind of redo everything. We've got Gozer and all that taken care of. Let's see what we're going to do next. I'm okay with that. I think they'll probably screw it up, but we'll see what happens. But it's just a really, really frustrating movie. And like the main stuff as far as like what we send, I mean, like the callbacks, the Ghost Egon thing, like, I mean, it doesn't work for me. I was actually kind of surprised at how many comments I saw mentioning that they actually, people liked it and they thought it was a nice tribute, and that the family, the Ramis family gave them permission. I mean, all that's fine and good, but within that movie itself, it doesn't work for me. I just think it's weird. And the effects are fine, but I don't know. It just left me with a weird feeling after all that. And then I will mention the mom hole outtake. That might be the quickest from something happening in real life to getting to an outtake in a Sins video, because I think that was a Saturday Night Live episode that had just aired like 2 days before I wrote the script.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
there was they said something about holes, and immediately I thought about that sketch with Zoe Kravitz on the search word game, and she kept saying mom hole. And so I just thought that was interesting. But yeah, no, it was fun to go back and do this. I like the Ghost. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the original, obviously. I don't think any of the sequels are great. This is probably the best one, but it comes with a lot of caveats when I say that.
Yeah, for sure. Ian, you want to go next?
Yeah, really conflicted on this film. We went to see it in theaters when I was last here, and I was super pumped for this movie. Like, the trailers had me really excited. I like the 2016 one, but it doesn't really feel like a Ghostbusters film. It's almost set,
I agree.
Well, it pretty much is set in a different universe with the same technology. But this felt like, even if it was just a trip down memory road, I was kind of okay with that. But what it ends up feeling is really confused. Like, it's this Stranger Things type reboot, setting up, passing the torch onto a new generation, mixed with the nostalgia trip that I was expecting. And it kind of ends up it gets hampered by both of these things. Like, you don't get the full movie to set up the new cast, and you don't get a cohesive story for the old cast. It just ends up being a lot of fan service. So I walked away really, really frustrated, because I like 2 bits of this movie, but when it's meshed together, it didn't quite work. The young cast is fantastic. The effects look great. I love seeing Ghostbusters in the 21st century. It's all of the sound effects and all of like the proton beams and everything just feels great, and the noise of Ecto 1 is so good. Put it in my veins. But it's just, where are we going? This may well live and die by the sequel. If it gets a sequel, the reviews are so mixed, I don't know. It's not like it immediately got greenlit as.
It was very profitable
happening.
though, so my gut tells me it will eventually.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Paul Rudd stuff doesn't work for me, but not a big surprise, because Paul Rudd. I'm the only person in the world that doesn't enjoy watching Paul Rudd.
That's wild, man. I don't know that I knew
so
that.
Strange.
That's interesting.
I've never thought he was like amazing, but he's entertaining. Like,
I don't know. He's just that kind of like personality that's just like comfort. Yeah, it's just like, I'll hang out with that guy.
Yeah, it grates on me, and he has an almost Ryan Reynolds vibe, but less deliberate for me. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to get into my Paul Rudd shade.
Hey, no, you're allowed to like what you like and not
I'm
like
allowed
what
to
you
be
don't
wrong.
like.
Really the Harold Ramis stuff at the end. It was okay, but it was really jarring. I think I'm having a difficult time articulating it like Jonathan. It's okay. It's not that I was like, oh, that's terrible, get it off the screen. But I could almost feel everybody looking at each other side to side in the cinema and just going, is this okay?
Yeah.
This doesn't feel okay. This feels weird. But you guys did a great job with the Sins video. I loved the running joke of, well, I hope Ghostbusters fans are okay with this, because this is clearly, you are screaming at the back seats for some of this stuff.
Yeah. Deneé, some thoughts?
I remember Ghostbusters because there was the green one.
Slimer.
That's it. I think no. There's another one. Wasn't there the big puffy guy?
Stay Puft Marshmallow.
White one.
Yep. Yeah. You got this.
Ray, what did you
Which
do?
I think I confused with the Michelin tire
Yes.
guy.
That's
Yes,
understandable.
of course.
Completely.
Yes.
Because I always thought that they were like, when I went to the Michelin tire store and I saw their guy, I was like, oh, this is the same thing, but it's not.
But Stay Puft is a completely made-up marshmallow brand before the first movie, right?
I don't know.
That's not
No.
a real brand.
No, it was. Wasn't it?
I don't think it was.
that's right.
I thought my incorrect probably assumption was that they patterned it after the Michelin Man, but didn't want to use a tire brand, and so they went with
Until a few
Marshmallow guy.
years ago, I thought it was still the Michelin Man.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. It was
Oh, that's
created for
hilarious.
So,
Interesting.
So I wonder if it was patterned after that, but the Michelin Man was too busy giving out stars to restaurants or something.
I
so.
just never questioned that. I just assumed it was a thing because it was a thing after,
Yeah,
so.
sure.
I mean, you have a very different finale if the Michelin guy explodes and tires just rain down and kill everyone, as opposed to marshmallows.
What about the video, Deneé?
Well, now I'm reading up on the history of all of this.
Nice.
Like this
Nice.
Reddit thread, like, why didn't the creators of Ghostbusters get sued by the Michelin Company over the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man's likeness to their
I can't
Michelin?
believe I never
looks
knew
different
this.
enough.
I feel like I need to do one of those tweets. I was today years old when I learned. That's amazing. Awesome.
Yeah. So whenever like it was time for new tires, I would feel nervous about going there because of the ghost factor.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I was really young, so obviously I didn't know better. And I didn't know that they weren't the same thing, but obviously
It's really
a lot
weird
of
you were
people.
driving too because you were so young.
I know. Well, I've been really talented for a long time, so
And
And
humble.
to this
Yeah.
day, a marshmallow
Super.
dessert has never received a Michelin star for that very reason.
It's
Whoa.
it's the whole. You know what? This is not what we're here to do. But I want to have a
Weird.
whole conversation on the Michelin star thing.
You know the story behind it.
Well, it was a marketing thing for
100%.
for the tires because they
100%.
travel, and so they would go to other countries and rate. And I can't think of another example of something that has such like crass beginnings that has become the most respected, prestigious thing ever.
wait, why is it crass?
Well, because it's just straight marketing. It's just
Yeah, it's applause.
like it's a tire company that did a straight marketing thing, and now it's like this prestigious, like huge
Well,
award.
but then it was also added to travel guides, which
Right.
used to dictate where people went.
Right? Yeah. It's just a
Yeah.
weird.
So that doesn't seem crass to me. That seems like a really smart thing.
Crass and smart are not exclusive.
It can be both.
Yeah, but when I say crass, maybe that's the wrong word. What I mean by that is
here's-
cheap.
But when you create something that's like, we're going to put your restaurant in this book because if anyone's going to travel here, yours is the place that they need to go to
Yeah,
the most of all the restaurants because, in that time you had to have a place to review it. So to me, it doesn't seem like an asinine thing.
I think it's the motivation behind it is a bit icky because it's not to promote that restaurant, it's to promote your tires. So it's a bit backhanded. It can have a great benefit, but the intent was to further your own brand.
to me, if it's like if Little Debbie was like, we're gonna find the best peanuts for our peanut butter dessert, and all of a sudden like 20 years from now, like the Little Debbie stars are
How you rate
like
peanut?
I don't know.
prestigious kind of thing. I'm
I
like,
think you
how-
two get
how does-
annoyed by weird things. I have no idea.
I'm not
Right,
annoyed.
Jonathan?
I'm not annoyed. I am not annoyed. I am curious. There is a difference.
Ian is annoyed. Aaron
I
is
am
curious.
So yeah. Anyhow, today continue on.
Back to Ghostbusters. I didn't even know that this movie was a thing. So I was like, oh, interesting. This is like the reinvention of the franchise. And then in the Sins video, learned that there was another one. I think I remembered it was all ladies, and then so this script throws that one shade because I guess it's just sort of like gone over. We threw so much shade in this one. I loved it. It was there was so many mentions of just like the throwbacks and. So I thought that the script did a good job of like ripping at the franchise while also showing the knowledge of the franchise, which, as we've talked about, is a tricky line because you know a lot, but at the same time you're still trying to enjoy what's in front of you. I really enjoyed the sin about being shown movies at school. That came up a couple times, which was just really fun, like the Cujo reference and Pet Sematary and the Beethoven stuff. It was like yeah, right? Like, what movies did I see when I was in school that were strange? And then it comes back to it. I don't know that this would ever actually go in a school, but it might, and that was funny.
Yeah.
I really also like the knowledge of the proton packs weighing 100 pounds. I didn't know these things, but it's just hilarious to think that this kid is just lugging around stuff and putting on clothes that are meant for adult men. So those were really delightful.
Yeah, I did research on that because I remembered Bill Murray saying something like in real life. He said something about how heavy they were. And so I remembered that. And then when I saw McKenna Grace just like running around, like, here's this thing I'm about.
Yeah, like it's
I was
nothing.
like, that's weird. And I found something that said, in theory, they'd weigh, based on like the parts and stuff, they'd weigh about 100 pounds.
The
which-
nuclear power
that makes
plant
it
that
almost
is on their
impossible
back.
for the grown men to carry it. I mean, you put a 100-pound backpack on your back. I can't carry that.
No, it's crazy.
I forgot also the part of the video sins where like the movie started right at the action point. I really enjoyed picking that apart and then spinning it around on Blockbuster, watching and never forgetting.
Yeah.
That made me happy. In fact, I was doing Ian and I were running errands, and so we're in Springfield, Missouri, running errands, and I point over. I was like, and if you look across the parking lot over there, do you see those yellow awnings?
It's crazy.
That used to be our Blockbuster.
But it's a new shop. They just haven't changed the coloration
haven't
or the
changed it.
Places
sign.
do that.
No.
They're
You'll
just
see like
using the same
doctor's
colours.
offices that were clearly Taco
Crazy.
Bells. I mean, it's
Well,
crazy.
it's like going to a chiropractor and it's just a big yellow M because it used to be McDonald's. Mm-hmm. Just kept it there.
Yeah, it was really fun. My favorite part of it, though, is that Ian thought that I said, if you look across the parking lot, you can see we still have a Blockbuster. And he got so excited. He's like, what?
Well, it's like, this is a big
It's
deal.
still
Like, that documentary is bullshit because there's one here in Springfield.
Nice. Nice.
So that was kind of cool. And I really liked, and I also liked the, when the person was calling for Egon or whatever his name is. And the sin was just like, and now I'm going to wait for an indeterminable amount of time so that you can react instead of letting me get to the point. Just that whole series of just
So true.
sinning that. I really enjoyed how that was written too.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Stuff.
You guys have mentioned most of my thoughts on the actual movie. I'm excited for a sequel. I like the new Ghostbusters. I like the kids. I like McKenna Grace. I like the kid from Stranger Things.
Podcast.
I like podcast. Like, I'm excited to see their adventures going after ghosts. What I am not excited to see is the last 30 minutes of this movie where it just turns into, let's bring out all the old Ghostbusters and let's make everybody feel things. So yeah, I am excited for the reboot and where it might go. Lots of great, this video just slayed me. So much great stuff. I loved all the mentions of the Paul Rudd movies. That was put together really, really well. I think But You've Been Our Idiot Brother from Year One was my favorite, ending it like that. So great. And then the other one I wanted to mention, because it really hits home to why this movie doesn't work for me, is the one that talks about how it reminds them of Gremlins or the multiple Jack Sparrows in World's End. It's filled with member berries and product placement. See this s'more? You want some more? Well, we'll feed it to you in the sugary melange of creative bankruptcy. Listen, if you can use the phrase sugary melange of creative bankruptcy, I'm already a big fan of you.
Yeah.
And then the one, It's a Space Station, was the sin. Like, it's a space station, and then they were like, it's a trap. And they're like, oh, I was thinking of a different Star Wars line. So beautiful.
That was close.
I love that. I love that. And then I had to mention the peep pun as well, where the narrator got so amused by his pun that he had to start the sin over. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff. All right, let's move into Night and Day. This was a Hugh Scott script. Jeremy and Deneé writing on this one. So kick us off, Deneé. Some thoughts from this process.
I loved this movie.
Yeah, you did.
Hey, woo!
It's really fun to love a movie that you sin. And I did not expect, I didn't know what this movie was about. So when the scene starts and it's like the back of Tom Cruise's head in an airport, I was like, what is this going to be? And then, Cameron arrives and they're running into each other and I'm like kind of annoyed or whatever. And then I get on the plane and I'm just thinking, oh God, what is this going to be? And then there's the fight sequence that happens on the plane. And right about that moment, when she walks out of the bathroom and he's sitting there with, casually with some drinks, I'm ready to be really annoyed. But then they start talking back and forth. And I watched this movie without understanding who Tom's character is. This is why I really agree with Aaron. Avoid anything that you can avoid before going into a movie, because Justin watched the trailer to this movie after I'd watched it a couple of times to work on it. Because I was having such a fun time with it. And the trailer tells you everything you want to know. But when I watched it, I did not know who Tom was. I didn't know if he was a good guy or a bad guy. So the casual way that Tom plays this character became one of not just funny, but mysterious for me, because I was trying to understand his motivation long enough that the movie was allowed to unfold for me. Like, her curiosity and questioning him made sense to me because I didn't know who he was either. And then when it's revealed, that the FBI and the CIA and all these other super secret spy agencies are saying that he's like this double or this, rogue spy, I still don't know if he's a rogue spy for good or a rogue spy for bad. And they kind of set up a couple other options for the audience not to know. And I got to be kind of in on that, which made the movie even better because it made Tom's performance even funner because he is so casual. And the casual way that he does everything with this cocky confidence was one of my favorite experiences in a movie. I have to tell you, it was a lot of fun. I mean, Cameron Diaz is beautiful and fun and quirky, and she's playing this like along for the ride person that for me completely falls apart. Her character falls apart way more than Tom's. I mean, Tom, they should both be dead 1,000 times over through this movie, but that's not the point. It was just a delightful trip. I thought that both of them together was exciting because it's two beautiful people on screen. But Tom, I kind of kept being like, this is why Tom is so good, because I've seen him in the Mission Impossible stuff and he's exciting there, but I don't know that I've seen him do something so comedic before. I can't think of what it would be. Like, can you guys think of a comedy he's been in that I would know
Tropic Thunder
of?
is the one that immediately comes to
Yeah,
mind.
but that's
I
absurd.
haven't
Like, this
seen
is
that
still
one.
a believable
That's also not
human.
his movie. I mean, he's a supporting character in that. But
Sure.
I know what you're saying. I mean, straight up comedy.
Risky
no, not really.
Business
Because
was
even
meant
like
to be a
Risky
comedy.
Business
Yeah.
is pretty serious. He doesn't really do a lot of like just straight up comedies. No.
Yeah, this one is like that, this comedic thing. It's like a perfect blend.
I'm glad you liked it. I always feel bad that when you end up sending something, you're just like, I hated it. So it's always nice to hear you say you
I
liked
was
something.
over the moon watching, because we were kind of writing at the same time. Watching Deneé enjoy this movie was a joy, because I was like, yeah, she likes the
Oh,
movie.
you were working
it's
on
so
something
great.
else? You guys were
Yeah, I was working on something else at the same
That's
time,
funny.
and she just keeps pausing it and laughing at the movie. And I'm like, yes!
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's great.
I laughed so much. The way that he just kind of goes through this, was so
the
great.
Sorry, I thought you were
Oh my
making
God.
a move there. That had me laugh. Like, and I feel like if I remember correctly, I was one of the only people in the theater laughing at that. But I mean, I could not stop laughing, and I know people were getting really mad at me because they couldn't hear what was happening after it. But I don't know why. That just tickles me to no end, man. When he's
Oh my God, it's genuinely hilarious
kicks
because
the shit out of that guy.
so what you know by the end, what you know by that he's just this chill dude who is a super spy who's very talented, and he's trying to do the right thing, and so his confidence comes from his moral compass, his skill set. But then he also is a bit of, I mean, he has to be like a sociopath, and so does she, quite honestly. To just casually go through all the things that they do, murdering people, going along with the murder of all the people. Like, it falls apart on so many levels, but Tom kills it. Like, he drugs her multiple times in this, sometimes with her consent. And not that makes it better. And there's like this one moment when she's just cracking, like it's such a funny scene. I laughed so hard over and over and over again. It was difficult for me to try to sin it actually multiple times, but it was a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed writing with Jeremy on this one a lot because he points out some really fun things like the horrible omelet and the son dying. I loved that one so much. When they're rolling around on the beach, his sin is just what the fuck is happening. And I was like, yep, so good. There's a CinemaSins would be excellent at movies sin in this one that was just perfectly placed. He also got to rap Hamilton in this one, which he killed, and I loved that so much. But yeah, so there's a lot of things to sin in this one, and I hope you guys had a good time. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Ian, what about you? What are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I equally love this movie. Watched it the first time. It was shortly after it came out with the parents, and my parents watch it pretty much 3 or 4 times a year. It's just one of their go-to movies where they just will put it on, get a takeout, and just have a really
They
good
just
time.
watch it night and day, just all the
It's not
time.
that kind of night. I hate this title, by the way. I hate it.
Yeah, it's a dumb title for a good movie. I am constantly going, with me, without me, with me, without me. Whenever somebody tries to argue with me, I'm just like, yeah, carry on, with me, without me. So great, so funny. This is my favorite type of Tom Cruise, where it's not super serious. He's got a bit of funny to him. Top Gun, I guess he's kind of funny in that as well, and a little bit comedic.
Jack Reacher, I would argue Jack Reacher, he's kind of funny.
But yeah, it's just great charisma everywhere. I love that you pointed out Rodney not having any other follow-up questions on the plane crash that June was in is really baffling. Just like, they said your plane crashed, and she's like, yeah, I'm fine. No further questions needed. We'll just move on. No, yeah, that's wild. Speaking of boners, sizable sausages are seemingly somehow strong enough to sturdily steady a strong, seriously sick psychopath. Probably was great because I'm always going to pick out alliteration. The Under Siege 2 comparison was great because it's a very meek reminder that I know we're not great, but we did it first. Just very, very polite reminder.
I would argue Under Siege 2 is close to great, actually, but that's a whole other topic. So
I will have that discussion with you, and we will probably agree. And just the simple roll instead of roll credits when Knight is on the mailbox. Roll, ding. Didn't have the heart to complete it because it wasn't a full roll credit.
I was waiting for like a day to be said later in the movie. Just somebody said the word day.
Itching for it. I was
and
waiting.
Then just credits.
Got there. No, I love it. Great video.
Yeah, I agree. It has been too long since I've seen this movie, and you both are making me want to rewatch it because I do remember liking it. I do remember thinking it was funny, and it just kind of came and went, and then I haven't rewatched it. So I literally think I just watched it the one time and thought it was hilarious. So I do want to revisit it. I love the MacGuffin Multiverse Unite sin, mentioning all the different MacGuffins. Deneé, you mentioned the sun is dying sin, which I thought was hilarious because it ends with, that's the opposite of perpetual. Stop misusing words. And listen, if you're going to get to Aaron, commanding people to stop misusing words is a great way to get it. The continue to using being drugged is a simple way to transition around the globe that ends with, I'm having a blast watching this, but this is ridiculous. And when do they stop for food? Made me giggle very, very much. And then let's see. The one that ended because the one that ended, he had the foresight to put her in a bikini but not disable her phone, as if putting her in a bikini is a foresight. It's like, she must need a bikini. I'll put her in
How
one.
else did he have it in her
One that
perfect
perfectly
size?
fits her.
Oh,
Yes,
perfectly.
yeah.
Yeah. It would be really funny. It would have been hilarious if it was like a really horribly misfitted one where it was like just.
So anyways, I loved all that stuff. Jonathan, what about you?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it since it came out, but I remembered quite a bit about it. Like when I was watching the video, I was like, oh yeah, that moment. I think anytime you can make a movie funny where you multiple times drug a woman without her consent, I would say if you can make that funny, you're doing something right. But I think it's just Tom Cruise, man. He's the GOAT, right? I mean, he's one of them. If he's in that conversation because he can take, because this is mediocre material. Like as far as the plot and everything, and he
100%.
elevates it with his performance. It doesn't always work, like The Mummy, but even in that, you're still like, I really like Tom Cruise. Like, I just don't like this movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know why people can't stay. I guess just his personal life has turned some people off, which
Probably.
I guess that's okay, but I don't know. He's such a great actor. He's always been one of my favorites. You guys mentioned a ton of these, but I will say I love for how horny this movie is. I'm surprised she's not jacking him off right now. And and then just I think maybe you guys mentioned that, but the nothing to question here, just checking on that boner. That killed me.
So good.
Yeah, it was a really good video. And the original title for this movie was Wichita, which Jeremy said he thought maybe because of Zombieland they went with something different. I don't know if that's a much better title, but I still think I prefer it over Night and Day. But I just never remember what this movie's called. I'm always like that movie with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz. Like
Night and Day had been a brand for 41 years before Wichita bought it, so they went ahead and stayed with the Night and Day.
Night and Day crisps.
Yeah, definitely how that happened. All right, let's move into the comments section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
We're each going to pick a comment from last week's content at the various places you reach out, Discord, YouTube, Reddit, etc. Jonathan, kick us off.
Well, I had a couple. I had one about, these are both from Ghostbusters, but just mentioning that some people made comments about Ghost Egon. This was one from Jezebel. It says, I like Ghost Egon. It seems a sweet way to include Harold Ramis, and there's nothing saying a ghost can't be good. They just didn't encounter any because who would call the Ghostbusters about a kind, gentle ghost? Fair, I guess. And then this was just like you guys rock kind of thing, but these are always fun to read. Matthew Comba said, I honestly have to say I look forward to Thursdays and Tuesdays. Your videos just make me laugh and they take me away from reality for 20 minutes or so. Free therapy. Whatever movie you're doing except horrors. And that's horrors, not whores. Horrors.
Thank you, Jonathan. I was
My
confused.
dad realized too late that it was not a good idea for me to watch them.
Nice. Ian, what about you?
I've just got a really quick one from Ticklefish on the Invincible video. Okay, that made me giggle so hard milk came out of my nose, which was a concern, as I wasn't drinking any milk at the time.
Oh my God.
Dear God.
We spontaneously we Adam Eved some milk out of someone's brain.
Yes, that is amazing.
That's amazing. That should be like part of our kit when we're trying to pitch people to
Yes.
like collaborate with us. But like also we can people will aberrate milk.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah. I wanted to shout out Lex, who says, excuse me, butterscotch is and always has been my favorite flavor. As a child, it was butterscotch snack packs. Pudding is the best. Butterscotch candy is great too. Butterscotch is very much a kid's flavor. An underrated, underused one. Lex, I'm with you. I like butterscotch as a kid too, but
No, you didn't.
I don't think I ever ate pudding. Like I always like the Werther's. That's butterscotch, right?
yes,
Like
Werther's
Yeah.
are the
I like those,
best.
but like it's different when it's like pudding and stuff for some reason. For me, I don't
interesting.
know. Yeah.
Scutterbatch.
My dad's mom, my grandma, always carried a butterscotch.
Also known as your grandmother.
Yes. Always carried around butterscotch rum lifesavers.
Nice.
Yeah, so did my
And
grandmother.
They were the best
Those were good.
thing ever. Those things were amazing.
Nice.
That's a grandmother
Deneé, what
thing,
about you?
I think, for kids that grew up in the 80s. All
Yeah.
our grandmothers carried those.
Yeah.
Mine came from Night and Day from Costa, who says, "Please send Will Smith's slap." Thank you for that.
Wait, what is that? What happened?
What is that? Yeah, what
What?
happened? I hadn't heard.
I don't know. It's I guess a show or something called Will Smith slaps.
Is that why
Yeah,
he had to
must
go
have
to
been.
Bel Air?
Probably.
Just because he's a great rapper? Is it just that he slaps?
There is a TV
yeah,
show
he
called The
slapped.
Slap.
Maybe-
So we could send that.
Yeah. Well, that's probably
Oh
what they
my
mean.
God, that was
gotta
a
be it.
call out. That was a deep one.
What's that?
The slap. That was like it was like a soap opera, or not? It was like a drama, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was a
It's
drama.
like some kid got slapped or something. And-
Yeah. That's what they're talking about, clearly.
Yes.
I didn't know he was in it. Maybe he produced it or something.
Probably.
I don't know.
Probably.
Probably produced it. All right, let's move on to nitpicking the nitpickers of the nitpickers.
But we wouldn't want to nitpick, right, Danny?
Pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, cheep, 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 talk a lot, pick a little more.
Actually,
Oops. What do you mean, oops?
Missed it by that much.
am I just going to nitpick everyone until they leave me?
Ian's going to take a look at some actuallys from the comments, and we're going to decide together if the commenter was green, yellow, or red. Ian, take it away.
Okay, we've got two, and it's going to be a little debate as to whether we believe the motivations of somebody and whether we believe drugs work. or
Okay.
Drug operations
Okay.
work.
Quite an intro.
So-
Ian.
Wait,
Quite an
wait,
intro.
what now?
Wait.
I guess
So
we're
this
doing
is
drugs
about-
together on this episode.
Yep.
I did not
The-
get mine in the mail, so I don't appreciate that, guys. Not including me.
Maybe I would check with Mackenzie, see if she took them.
Oh no!
Somebody
Oh
got them.
God!
Z-Mac?
Somebody signed for them. So the garbage truck drug operation in Invincible, we send it for being ridiculous and not a good way to run your operation.
Okay.
So the comment says, actually using garbage cans works quite well. And I'm glad they didn't leave any more details about who they are because the FBI called and they're interested. The city uses garbage trucks to drop off new garbage cans when required in real life. The same truck covers huge distances and has to make trips back to the dump where it could get the next bin full of drugs, presumably, to drop off somewhere. It's more practical than you'd think. And it's that last line that makes me think this is an insider.
Mm-hmm.
So open up to the class is this a great front for?
I mean, I have
drugs
no
or not?
idea. And if I did, I would not admit to it right now.
I think
I'm
on
going
paper
yellow.
it is.
Yeah,
I mean, you could probably make it work.
I think we have to go kind of green on this. Yellow at least. Like, yeah, I think it could be done for sure.
Because it's funny that like The Sopranos use waste management as their front.
Sure.
So it's kind of just taking that a step further.
Yeah.
Deneé, how would you distribute your drugs? Would you use a garbage can?
I mean, how much money am I making?
Enough to run a garbage removal company.
Sure.
Yeah.
There you
Good.
go.
I mean, you're going to get creative. I imagine that having taken drugs myself, your imagination just goes places. And the interesting thing about drugs is that if people around you are also doing them, it's just a lot of yes-anding really strange ideas.
This is a great idea.
There's no one to be like, this isn't smart. It's more like, yeah, let's go. And so I can see how it would be not just like a dump truck delivery. It could be any number of things. So I feel like that's not a bad one. No, I think drones is a bad idea because they're really obvious. Whereas, like, who's going to want to mess with a garbage truck?
That's true.
That's very true.
I
Very,
think
very true.
it's a great bit of deductive reasoning.
Yeah, I agree.
And the next one was an interesting one that I didn't pick up in the movie at all. So this is from Ghostbusters, and the commenter said that the demon couldn't possess Egon because Egon used a taser on himself to kill himself before he was possessed, which would allow him to be a ghost so that he could continue on his work.
What?
Apparently there's a taser setting on the PKE machine, but that's not in the film.
Wait,
That's
hold on. Is this commenter saying Egon committed suicide right before being
the
taken
demon
over?
could kill him.
The demon could kill him.
It doesn't show that. I mean,
I was like, did we miss something?
I
don't know how I
totally
would
missed that
miss
if that's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would miss it. I'm going to say red for now because I don't.
Yeah, that's a red.
I think it's a red, but I liked the idea because the discussion is quite interesting that if that was his plan all along, he knew that the possession was coming and like his boot is kind of nervously tapping. But I just don't know why he would wait until the last second to do it unless he thought he could get out. But I don't know. I think it's a red as well, but it was.
Yeah.
I wanted to know if I'd missed something in the movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
No.
I definitely
don't
did
think
if that's
so.
in there. I mean, Chris and I both did. I don't think that's in
Look,
there.
I don't think so.
If nothing else, we can all
Here it
be
comes.
delusional together. You know,
Yeah.
like that's the important thing is that we all agree. Whether we're right or wrong, that's secondary. Just that we all agree.
Shared delusion.
That's what's important.
Good.
All right, so let's finish this week's show off with a game of deconstruction.
Tell me a story.
Everyone stop construction!
Something sinister won't build itself.
What, do you make it up as you go along?
The Simpsons make it up as they go along, and they're as happy as a ribbon in a Bible.
That doesn't make any sense.
Deneé predicts what a movie is about based on its title, tagline, and bits of information she is given by the rest of the crew. Warning, spoilers from a fake movie and a real one will follow. Deneé, the power of the dog.
Okay, power of the dog. Power of the dog. Yeah, so this is obviously a documentary about
Yes.
dogs
First time.
and their abilities to power things like sleds,
Yeah.
in particular sleds. But
Yeah.
unknown to most of us is that deep in the place where they make the electricity for the cities. God, why?
the electricity factory today?
Yeah.
Okay.
The
all right.
electricity mine?
Are really fancy, like they look like hamster wheels, but they're circular and they're made of grass on the inside, and the dogs just run on the grass.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Power.
Has to be grass so they wouldn't
To
run.
power, yeah. Which in turn created an entire ecosystem and need for the grass replacement. So they just poop as they go, you know. So there's like this whole thing going. There's worms involved. And
So not a Western.
and little
Doesn't
hamsters.
sound like a Western.
No, it's absolutely a Western.
Yes,
So
Amelia
all of
was
this
right,
happens.
man.
It happens in the West.
This all happens in the West.
Oh,
And the
okay.
manager is a rootin' tootin' hound dog.
Oh, is this in the Fievel universe? Is this what we're dealing with?
Well, that one has cats and mice mostly. So
I just wondered. And it has Jimmy Stewart
more all
dog.
dogs go to heaven.
If a Western takes place in the South, is it still a Western?
That's a good question. It's a good question. Okay, Deneé, here's the tagline for The Power of the Dog. The tagline is, what it means to be a man.
Which really fits with your description.
Yeah, I think the dog thing works. That's
Does
a
that help at all?
terrible tagline for that movie, by the way.
What
That
it
is a terrible
means to be a
tagline.
man?
Jesus.
Wow. Yeah. I don't even know what to do with that now. That's confusing.
Okay.
What it means to be a man. I mean, obviously the end of this movie, all of the dogs shave to reveal they're women.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Deneé, what would you like next? Would you like another tagline, a plot keyword, a piece of trivia, a quote, or a B-team hint?
I want a B-team hint from Jonathan.
All right, Jonathan. One hint about the power of the dog. A simple word or a phrase that will help Deneé continue on with her description of this movie.
Is she playing the piano again?
Okay, there you go.
Yep.
Piano?
There you go, Deneé.
piano?
Is she playing the piano again?
Well, yeah, because it's really difficult to enjoy your job unless there's music. So there's one little dachshund in particular who has one of those little miniature pianos.
Nice.
And just gets up on there and like sits, and then the little paws just like ding 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 ding.
Like
ding,
in
ding.
Peanuts, right?
Yeah.
Like the little Schroeder's
very
piano in Peanuts.
Snoopy-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you should give her the cast.
What do you want next, Deneé?
Oh! You know what? I feel stupid. The clue I should have said was Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah. That wouldn't have helped me at all.
Do you want a plot keyword, a piece of trivia, quote, or another B-team hint?
We'll do a trivia.
All right. So trivia for The Power of the Dog. Let's see. Let's do one that will. Kirsten Dunst and Benedict Cumberbatch were so into their characters that they did not speak to each other during the filming of the movie.
Because they barked. Duh.
Yes.
Duh. I mean,
Correct.
Very nice. Very nice. That is true. You want any other hints? Plot keyword?
Yeah,
Piece of trivia,
let's do a keyword.
Plot keyword for Power of the Dog.
I think I'm nailing this one, guys.
The first one on the list, plot keywords, repressed homosexuality.
Yeah, so obviously the big reveal at the end that they're all female. It's just part of the whole like message.
I see.
Yeah, they're taking ownership of whatever gender they want.
Second plot keyword, male rear nudity.
Of course.
Yep.
I mean, in the world of dog, it's just all about the butt. It's all about butt sniffing,
it's
butt licking.
Yeah.
It's
their style.
It's how
really.
you
It's
say
their whole
hi.
style.
Yeah.
The butt.
So at the beginning of this film, a lot of the feedback that I've heard is that it's really uncomfortable because it's just so much nose and ass. But by the end of the film, it's really like a beautiful message about how people welcome each other and say hello to each other in different ways and love each other too. Because, in dog language, a butt sniff, a butt lick, it all has so much meaning. It's kind of like how the word love is really diverse. There's so many different, like love isn't just one word. There's like 50 different meanings or something.
I'm liking this movie.
The butt sniffing, licking, all that, by the end of the movie, you've seen so much that you understand its depth.
The depth of the...
Yeah. Yeah. Would you like a quote? A movie quote?
Yeah.
All right. How does this play in? This is one of the characters says, "So to us brothers, Romulus and Remus, and the wolf who raised us, Bronco Henry, El Lupo."
And those are just all the dog names. So.
Yeah.
I feel pretty affirmed that I've.
Where's the wolf come in though? Where's the?
Oh, I mean, wolves are
the wolf who raised.
Well, yeah. So it's just talking about like the. All right. So this is a spoiler. So sorry.
Okay.
At the end of this movie, the dogs realize that they are powering a city just by running, and it's meaningless. So they break free into the wild. And so this is like that quote is from the scene right before they get pumped up to like break out of the underbelly of the city and race into.
Have they shaved
the
already?
Open. Yeah. That's
okay.
Part of the escape plan. There's this whole like peanut butter forest that it gets stuck in their fur. So they're like, you know what? We're just gonna shed what is on our exterior, be ourselves. And they've all been like pumped up, like we got to be masculine, we got to do this, and then that's like the reveals they're all feminine, which is great. But some are still calling themselves masculine. They all are they're just dogs. They don't care anymore. They've got this beautiful thing together, and like in this group shave, they get out there. What are they called? They take the guards off of the things, and they just the clippers, and they just go down to the skin. They're very careful of the parts that matter, and then they just race through the peanut butter forest. Out the other side, through the sewers, into the sunshine, in the actual grass.
All right, Ian is going to give you your final B-team hint, and it is going to be about a scene towards the end of the movie. And so, Ian, what is a scene towards the end of the movie that Deneé should incorporate? And you can speak about it in general terms. Final scene.
The final scene of the whole movie?
Sure.
Okay.
Ian wasn't even watching the movie.
I've seen it, though. I have seen it. A congregation around a corpse.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's an arduous task to leave the underbelly of this city, and one dog, which was their favorite. I mean, it's like, the one that's been encouraging the whole time.
Yeah.
Definitely stopped for peanut butter too many times and got slowed down and bogged down and, just didn't make it. So got to see the sun, but they didn't make it to the end of the movie.
It's amazing.
So then
That's not miles off.
No.
As an allegory.
No, that works.
Deneé just created Isle of Dogs.
I hope not.
Which I am totally down for.
Bring it on.
They all circled around and howled. Oh,
Yeah.
But they were actually, which was strange for them because they've been speaking the whole time. So that was them actually embracing their history.
The final words of the movie, Deneé, are? I'm asking you.
Oh. Okay. What's the title of this film again?
The Power of the Dog.
Okay, the final words of the movie are: the power of the dog was in us all along.
Yep. Nice.
Very nice. Deconstruction
Isle
of the Power of the Dogs. Isle of Dogs 2.
Deconstruction. That's such a great... Because it's like I'm constructing my own version and also deconstructing the movie all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Ian, tell us what The Power of the Dog is really about. What's the worst version of this movie?
Oh, man. You're asking somebody that doesn't like this movie. So it's set in the West, and there is a man that's very, very lonely and has a brother that is pretty abusive. They go to a farm. The nice brother meets a lady.
Kirsten
Dunst, who has a son who isn't into like manly cowboy things and likes science and making flowers and stuff. And the nasty, because the nice guy and Kirsten Dunst get married, and then they kind of get Benedict Cumberbatch is the evil cowboy and like relentlessly bullies Kirsten Dunst, but takes a shining to her son after he catches Benedict Cumberbatch masturbating in the forest, and then they go out to the woods and bond more, and then Benedict Cumberbatch gets a splinter and dies.
There you go. Spoilers for Power of the Dog.
Yeah, there's also some what is it? It's like diseased rawhide or something that.
Yeah, it's technically not a splinter, but yes, we'll
what a great the ending, man. It's a movie.
But the moral of the story is that masculinity can be toxic, and I think
there's a lot in there.
And deadly.
I think there's a lot in there too about how, because I mean, I get the impression. Well, I don't know. I guess it's a fairly new movie, so I guess we don't get into spoilers. But I think there's a lot in there about like inappropriateness with, and not necessarily with Cody Smith McPhee, but like maybe with Benedict Cumberbatch when he was younger with Bronco Henry and how that affects.
I just think it's about repression. I just think it's about the idea that these men had to be manly and weren't allowed to love other men. That's and that is used against him by this young man who is not afraid to use it against him to psychotically murder him. So
he's skipped that part.
Taken up for his mom.
Well, it's a very cerebral murdering,
which is why Ian doesn't like it.
Oh my god.
That's going to do it for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got anything you want to send us, you can mail it to P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. Hang out with us on Twitter. We're at Aaron Dicer. He is at Withsind. She is at Deneé Says.
DENESAYS.
And he is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Ian Whittington, Deneé Hughes, the Michelin Man, and myself, we will see you next week.
Happy International Beavers Day.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com and be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
Go Ian, it's your birthday. Go Ian, it's your birthday. It's not really your birthday. And you don't give a fuck that it's your birthday if I'm in the club.
What's confusing about that, Aaron?
Nothing.
Good?
Nothing. Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
What were you doing? Just
cleaning my
Just moving his camera down towards his nether regions.
My penis. Down towards my beaver.
Wait, what?
Wait.
Nice beaver. Thanks. I just had it stuffed yesterday.
Do you remember, was it called Sledgehammer?
Yeah, I own that on DVD too.
Do you?
Yeah. There's only 2 seasons of that, so.
I wanna be
Sledgehammer.
Yeah, no, I love Sledgehammer.
Your sledgehammer. Bum, bum,
yeah, the song's okay too.
Bum, 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 bum. Sledgehammer.
Thank you, Ian. We can now continue.
Deneé is necking her coffee right now.
Necking?
Necking, yeah. As in, you neck a drink.
What?
Put it in you.
Necking?
Really?
Necking here is like making out.
Oh, no, that's weird.
I've never heard that before, but I understood it because I just did it.
Necks together.
Wait.
Nibbling on necks, necking, yeah.
How do you make out? Just rub your necks against each other. Okay, kissing makes...
Yeah, but it's a general term.
I think
for
it was
like
kissing
hanging out,
like you kiss each other's necks.
Southern thing too. I don't know.
Necking is like you toss a drink back, like downing a drink.
Where you live, not here.
No,
and you're in America now, son.
Once I've necked this water, this water is naked. Is that?
No, it's been necked.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Forcing your puns upon me. Upon me.
The irony. The irony.
Hooray for Dicer Day. Why is it Dicer Day?
41.
It's also April Fool's, which I just don't go on Twitter.
Did you hear the disgust that it was Dicer Day in general?
No. I just don't like April Fools. I don't like April 1st in general. I think
it's because it should be January the 4th. That should be Dicer Day.
Correct. Yes.
But I don't go on Twitter because everybody's just saying stupid shit that's not true. And
yeah, like Will Smith smacked Chris Rock at the Oscars.
Can you imagine? For my siblings, we all have A names.
Aaron, Andrew,
and Autumn.
Olivia, right.
Olivia.
My mum deliberately gave me a 3-letter name because she knew I would have difficulty spelling my last name at school. It's like, let's not give him like Anthony or William, considering he's got a 14-letter last name.
That's great.
11-letter last name.
You don't know how many letters your last name is. That's amazing.
I'm Welsh and Italian.
You are not Welsh. Who's Welsh in your family?
Watkins is a Welsh name.
I repeat, who's Welsh in your family?
Oh, well, it's a long way back. No one in my... But I'm just saying that's where my ancestors.
Ian decides heritage. What the fuck are you doing, Ian?
What's interesting too about that, if you study back far enough, a lot of the times, like the royalty that came over, their slaves or their servants would just take their last name. And like my uncle was able to find out that like we're related to the servants, not the royalty. So like Watkins technically wasn't even our name.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it was, but because it's impossible to find that out. But
the most famous dicer in history is probably Elizabeth Dicer, who was burned as a witch in the Salem witch trials.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, I'm so sorry, but
so I wonder if like maybe there was like, nope, nobody's going to be named that anymore.
Yeah, totally
kind
makes
of
sense.
thing.
Yeah.
Or you're just related to her.
I don't know.
Or it's part of the curse.
I was told growing up that I had to have a lot of boys in order to pass on the Dicer name.
Get more
or I was
dices.
gonna die. So that's why we chose to have 4 boys.
Wait, no, I had to.
Only Deneé gave the proper reaction to that. Only Deneé was in on that joke.
Me, Benny Gesserit,
Yes.
your boys.
I Gattaca'd my family.
Yeah.
You doomed him.
I found a really crazy fact that you might already know, Jonathan. You know the TOS episode Annihilation? No, was it Assignment Earth?
Yeah.
That was a backdoor like pilot to a spin-off series that just never happened. It got cancelled.
That kind of sounds familiar, but I don't.
So that character, Gary 7, that was going to be his missions were going to continue.
Yes.
In 1968 or whatever, it was going to be like Mission Impossible, but yeah, it's crazy. And then it just got the episode was a bit bonkers, so they just ditched it. It's crazy.
What's the guy that's in all with the gravelly voice that's in all the westerns and
John Wayne
stole my voice
currently?
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood?
From they'll know in the chat.
Yeah, Aaron forgot Clint Eastwood.
We forgot something about Mary.
This is just Aaron exposes how lame his brain is this morning. What was the movie with the one guy who was an alias? Bradley Cooper. The one movie with Bradley Cooper and
I forgot Bradley Cooper's name.
And the singer.
Lady Gaga. There we go.
You're talking about Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott. Yes. Thank you,
Sam Elliott.
The throwback movie this week is The Martian. Okay. So I found a couple. I was like, I wonder, you know how sometimes we'll have sins that are like matching other sins? So I thought I'd throw a couple true and false your way and see if I could throw you off. Okay. So we'll go around one at a time. Aaron, true or false?
Okay.
The Martian script included a Junior Mint reference.
The Martian script included a Junior Mint reference.
There was a Junior Mint reference in Night and Day this week.
Correct. Okay. So I'm gonna say true.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I'll say true.
Ian?
Tactically, I want to try and win, so false.
True.
Shit. Yeah. Way to be tactical, Ian.
Now, because that game was in the outtakes, it doesn't technically count, so I'm still in the lead.
Oh my god!
I just wouldn't even.
I don't want to play games with Ian. He's so annoying.
He is so competitive. It's really sad. I've never met
silly game.
I've never been like that. I really don't care about winning or losing. It's just really just about having fun for me.
It's great. Good.
Holy
it really
shit.
is for me. So I'm not full of shit.
In the words of Monica Geller, why do we bother to keep count if the winner doesn't matter?
I will assume we're coming out of a laugh a little bit at least on this.
What, are we all going to laugh now?
No. I mean, we apparently are. We have it. Let's get into the SinSide Scoop. Was that an editing?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't been recording this whole time. Is that a problem?
Stop it.